Next up, let's bring you up to speed with the figures with regards to fuel prices. Well, all metros in India are now retailing petrol for over 100 rupees. The two metros added to the list now are Delhi and Kolkata, where in Delhi, petrol is retailing for 100.21 rupees per litre. In Kolkata, it is selling for 100.23 rupees per litre. In Mumbai, already the 100 rupees mark was breached long time ago. Currently, petrol is selling for 106 rupees per litre in Mumbai. In Chennai, it's 101 rupees, and in Bengaluru, 103 rupees per litre. This is the 36th increase in fuel prices in the last 2 months. All right, so despite many questions being raised about why petrol prices have not been brought under control, all we are seeing are further hikes that are taking place. In fact, graphics on your screen will show you the level and extent of excise duty hikes that have happened in the past few months, and vis-a-vis the cuts that have also been made. But despite that, now what we are looking at is a steady increase in fuel prices, where the 100 rupees mark has been reached in all metros in India. Brijesh Kallappa of the Congress Party joining us with more inputs. Good morning, Mr. Kallappa. We have heard the arguments from both sides, but primarily the government continues to maintain that this is more or less connected with international crude prices and it has been deregulated. So, you know, there's very little that remains in the hands of the central government.
No, I agree with the government. There is very little that remains in the hands of the central government, except that the average collect taxes. And that remains they go with that average, then they can certainly cut down the taxes and bring down the rates of petrol. So ultimately, you're paying through your nose for central sales tax and then GST, and state sales tax and so on and so forth. It's because of this that the price of fuel is so high. And if Mr. Modi can ensure that his finance minister wants to collect less taxes from us and then pass on the burden of the free vaccine to the Indian people through another means, I think it could be done this way. That because as it is, Mr. Modi had set aside 35,000 crore for the vaccines. Maybe he could use that money. Maybe he could give up the Central Vista project. So these are all various things which the government can think of to ensure that the burden is not borne by the paying public. And ultimately, when the cost of crude was over $145 per barrel, the cost here was only about 75 rupees. But now when the cost is less than half, then still Mr. Modi seems to be increasing the petrol prices. And then absolutely there is no restraint on his average or no limitation on his average.
Yes, so a couple of points that you're making, Mr. Kallappa. Are you suggesting that the government has transferred the burden of the free vaccine to the citizens, and that is why the price rise is being witnessed? Because then it would amount to literally, you know, just a change of hands. I mean, drawing out the money, drawing revenue from fuel to finance the vaccine. Is that a trade-off that you're saying the citizens are being forced into?
You see, first is that let the Prime Minister or the Minister for Petroleum release, the threadbare statement in regard to how much of cost is incurred in buying crude per litre and how much is actually given to the companies, to the oil refinery companies, and then what taxes are collected on them. If that is made available to the public at large, I think that will answer the question. Because if you're paying nearly 60 rupees per litre of petrol, I think then naturally these prices will be very high.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so I have the BJP spokesperson now to answer those questions. Anila Singh, if you heard Brijesh Kallappa, a couple of points he's making is that, is it now that the fact that the citizens have free vaccines, is the money for that being generated through this petrol price increase? Because then the burden is clearly shifted to the citizenry. Just that the clarity or the statement in that regard has not come, but somewhere the government is doing drawing out, generating revenue from petrol to actually also finance welfare schemes and perhaps the vaccines as well.
Kalapa is a very well-educated spokesperson of Indian National Confused Party. But the thing is, I'll say the fact is that if we talk about international price of fuel, it is all-time high. So saying that why India is increasing price, that would be very unfair. Because we have to purchase oil, we have to purchase crude oil from outside. And if it has gone all-time high, then India shouldn't be blamed for that.
No, but then why would you not place it under GST is one question. Why would you not decrease it when the international crude prices were lower earlier? Why was it not revised then? All of those questions remain. Yes, Brijesh Kalapa, could you respond to what Anila Singh ji just said, please?
She just referred to our party as a confused party. And I just heard her, the logic behind why the prices are so high. She blames it on crude. But just last week, the Minister for Petroleum says it's the Congress party's decision to have oil bonds which causes these high prices. Prime Minister has also said the same thing. Let them stick to one stand. Because oil bonds were introduced by Mr. Vajpayee in 2002. They were done away with in 2010. So for about 8 years, the oil bonds existed. And oil bonds of some 3,500 crore have been paid by the Modi Sarkar. And they're saying despite having collected revenues to the extent of 3 lakh crore, they're saying the cost of paying oil bonds of about 3,500 is the reason why the prices are so high. I think, first is that they should not take the public to be idiots. They should, first come outside and say that this is the reason why we have such high prices. And we are linking it to vaccination. Or, because we have the GST collections are poor. Or because of this reason. Let them do that. There's no problem. But why shy away from any of this and keep making some very illogical, reasons which everybody can see through? You can't keep blaming Pandit Nehru or the Mughals for all your problems. It's for the last 7 years. Mr. Modi has been doing only that. He refuses to assume responsibility for anything, and it's always a legacy of the past. So this is something Mr. Modi must show leadership and come out of.
Anila Singh ji, can your government really plead helplessness in this regard? It's very well known that more than 50% of our fuel prices are just taxes levied by the state and the central government. Surely, in order to reduce the burden on the common man, there is something that the government can do, because what is happening now is the cascading effect has started kicking off. We are seeing an inflation of essential commodities, and what it will do to the economy perhaps is very well known to you. It is going to hit the consumer hard. It's going to negatively impact consumption, and that again is going to impact growth. Isn't it the centre's responsibility to look at these factors and control the fuel prices?
Whenever price hike of fuel prices is there, it makes hole in our pocket. There is no doubts about it, and I do not have any words to advocate against it. But the thing is, crude oil prices are at highest since October 2018 internationally. This is the fact. And when we talk something which we do not produce and we have to buy from international market, then we are we are not the choosers. We have to buy that thing of the price which is...
That is one component, ma'am. Okay. You are not answering why you cannot reduce taxes.
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
If you talk about it, even I know that.
Okay.
I know that almost 50% of the cost or the prices of taxes. And if center and the states and other agencies which take their cut, if they come on same platform, and definitely I'm going to say in alphabet manner, capital bold, that yes, the states too, if they come on same platform, then certain commissions and the taxes can be reduced, and it may make an impact in prices. But the thing is, again, if like you were mentioning about that why it is not under GST, Yes, it is definitely a good consideration, and it should also come under GST. But the thing is, again, the states and the center, they have to come on same platform. Whenever discussion is there, many of the states, they back out. So the problem is internally as well as externally.
Okay, so this consensus has to be built. Like you rightly said, the GST Council need to decide. But yes, it's now, of course, extremely obvious that the centre has found the fuel prices to be easy means of generating revenue, and the price increase has been unrelenting, hitting the common man hard. Thanks for joining us, Anila Singh and Brajesh Kalappa, with your views on this.